We're here in the KJV Thompson Chain-Reference Bible, revised and updated edition from Zondervan. In this brief overview, we can see that 6 key areas and 6 key things were revised and updated, and that's what makes up the revised and updated Thompson chain. The 2 indexes being renamed, the completed chains, complete listing of references, inclusion of all topics in the margins, consistent names of topics, and book introductions. So we see at the top, this edition of the King James Version of the Thompson Chain-Reference Bible represents years of work, as we've been over. The aim was toward a more consistent and simplified study tool, one which adhered to the time-tested notes of Dr. Frank Charles Thompson, who began his original research in 1890. The primary enhancements, many of which were aided through the use of computer technology and data analysis, have been made in the following areas. This is probably the biggest one, number 1, the 2 indexes renamed. To better reflect their function and thus facilitate their use, new names have been given to the primary indexes. The general index, so formerly named in the KJV, is now known as the Alphabetical Index of Topics, which begins on page 1506. The Condensed Cyclopedia of Topics and Texts in the previous KJV edition, or the Index of Chain Topics in the NASB, is now called the Numerical Index. So what are those changes? Alphabetical index and numerical index, much simpler and more straightforward names, and we'll get into those a little more later on. Number 2, completed chains. Previous editions had many incomplete study change. Those have now been reviewed for consistency. Now there are no incomplete chains. Number 3, complete listing of references. This one's key. Many marginal references in the earlier editions were not listed in the numerical index of topics. That's at the back of the Bible. So now all marginal references are listed there. They completed those chains, and we're going to learn about the topic number and how those work. Number 4, inclusion of all topics in the margins. So some of the older editions, because of space limitations and the way it was laid out typographically, did not have all of the topics in the margins. Not so in this updated edition. So much so that this abbreviation NM, not in margin, has been eliminated because they're now all included in the margin. That's a nice thing. Number 5, consistent names of topics. It talks about the example of creator, God as, God creator. They eliminated that, simplified that, and just said, hey, just one number 884 topic called creator, simplified. And number 6, book introductions. These used to kind of appear in the comprehensive Bible helps, the analysis of Bible books, which was at the back. But now you're going to see that all that useful information has now been provided in a much better location, which is at the beginning of the books of the Bible as a book introduction. Much more useful and gives you the information where you actually want to see it right before you start reading in that specific book. For perspective here, we have one of the old large print edition Thompson chains from Kirkbride that's now out of print. And you can see thickness-wise, this updated Thompson is slightly thicker, but it's about the same size as the old large print. Now, if you were to exclude that overlapping leather, it's actually still a little bit smaller, but you can see it's just about a perfect footprint there, matching the old large print edition. As we know, this is the revised and updated KJV Thompson Chain-Reference Bible, so we wanted to do a side-by-side comparison showing the old Kirkbride edition appearing here on the left. That's essentially the 5th edition, was last updated in 1988, and then here is the updated and revised Thompson from Zondervan, of course, Premier Collection, and it was updated in 2022. Let's look at some of the notable differences and what was updated. So first of all, as we see the old edition on the left and the updated edition on the right, we come to the book of Psalms, Psalm 1, and notice that the old Kirkbride edition just goes straight into the text. We know again that the old edition of the Thompson had the analysis of the books of the Bible, but that was appearing at the very back after the end of the numerical index, and you had to really flip all the way to the back just to get that helpful information, but not so. The updated edition puts that book introduction right here before Psalms 1. So because of the way these pages are laid out, I had to move the updated edition, the Zondervan on the left and the Kirkbride on the right. But look and notice that, again, on the Kirkbride, we were in the 650s, page 650 or so for the book of Psalms, had to flip all the way back to page 1606 to get to the analysis of books, just to find the information that you would hope to see as the book introduction of Psalms. That's what you now have on the Zondervan updated edition. And notice that much of the information is the same. This is saying the 150 spiritual songs and poems used by the church in all ages in worship and devotional exercises was used as the hymn book of the Second Temple. That essentially is over here as purpose. It's recategorized as the purpose in the updated edition. So the updated edition just does a really good job of kind of organizing the information better. The way that they separate it out here, the authors, the date it's written, the purpose, to whom it's written, main themes, keywords, the key verse, the synopsis, major chains in Psalms. That's also missing from the older edition. So not only did they keep much of it the same and organize it better, but then again, they put it right here at the beginning of the book, which makes a whole lot more sense. So now we'll go back and take a look at this actual text of Psalm 1 for the side-by-side comparison. So here, looking at our Psalm 1 side-by-side comparison and page sample, the Kirkbride, and if I didn't mention, this is the large print, the old quote-unquote large print edition of Kirkbride on the left, and the Zondervan, which is only a regular print edition, on the right. First thing we see is that a lot of people used to rightfully complain that the quote-unquote large print of the Kirkbride edition was actually only a size 9 font. A 9 font in Bible font terms is really not a large print at all. It was just, they were stating that it was the largest print Thompson available at the time. So now when we compare this, and I'm doing the full overhead shot here, no zoom at all, just so you can really see the difference here side by side. We compare this, the 9.5 font of this regular edition and the updated edition from Zondervan, you're going to see it really is no comparison. Look, not only that the size of the letters is the same or actually bigger, but just how much bolder it is on the page. This bolder edition, again, not even a quote-unquote large print edition from the Zondervan, much bigger, much easier to read, even from this vantage point, than the Kirkbride large print edition on the left. But also look at how the pages are laid out. So other than this one drop capital that you're getting here on the Kirkbride edition at the first letter of each chapter, versus you're just doing a block all caps here on the updated edition, other than that, the print on the updated edition using that comfort print font, again, no comparison. Much thicker, much bolder on the page, much larger. And then also look what's not there. These vertical lines are now removed. This is much cleaner on the page. You're just everything about it. Also, again, there's no two-color design on the Kirkbride edition. The two-color design, the introduction of that red font color for the subheadings, for most importantly, the topic numbers that you're seeing. It's much easier and faster to find if you're reading here in Psalm 1, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinners. It's much easier to see that 376 of blessed ones than it is to see the 376 blessed ones kind of on the corner of the screen there, since it's only in the black. It's much quicker to identify those things. So we'll take an even closer look and give you an idea there. One of the closest zoomed in examples and closer examples for a side-by-side comparison was here in Psalm chapter 6. So again, Kirkbride, large print edition, quote unquote, on the left, the Zondervan updated edition on the right here. Notice again, David's complaint in his sickness. And this one over here says to the chief musician of Neganoth upon Sheminith, a psalm of David. You're getting this added subtopic of a plea for mercy. But notice that Psalm 6:1, O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Of course, same verse here on the right. But let's look in the margin and see and notice that, again, on the old edition, we started with 796, divine reproof, with a forward reference of 9.5. Here, exact same topic, and organization, divine reproof, 796 topic number, and then the forward reference of 9:5, which is Psalm 9:5. So the only key difference you're seeing there is that this one is going to start with the actual topic name first, whereas the Kirkbride edition started with the topic number first. This one, but with the introduction of that red font and that two-color design, still makes it very easy to see the 796 topic number, which is the most important thing in the Thompson study system. We'll keep going. Notice we've got 3955 God's anger on the left, God's anger 3955 topic number on the right. You have 497 chastisement with a 9 in parentheses, Deuteronomy 8:5 on the left. Over here, we're getting a chastisement, 497, same topic number, but then you're getting a slightly different forward reference of 94:12. That's part of this updated edition, completing all those chain references and making sure there are no NM, not in margin designations, that being able to be removed. So that's an example of that. But pretty doggone similar if you continue going. 1255, divine displeasure. We see here divine displeasure, 1255, also appearing in there. The mercy sought, 2301 topic. We still have right here, mercy sought 2301, and then the same reference of 277, 277. Then we also have a divine displeasure, 1255, divine displeasure 1255, spiritual healing 1543, and there's spiritual healing 1543. Even down here to this parallel passage of John 12:27, same thing. We still get the PP parallel passage here of John 12:27 in the margin of this one. So you're seeing there, that's one of the easiest and closest shots I can give you that says this is how it was updated. But notice, it's still very much the same. So anyone who's familiar and they're nervous, man, I've only ever used the older edition. Again, you're not going to have any problem, and you're gonna know and be able to understand that it still contains all the same great useful Thompson info. Still contains the same 8,000 topics, the 100,000 references. Most of the topic numbers and even the numbers, the actual numbering system, are the same. It's just organized a little better. It's just updated a little bit, completing those chains, completing all those different topics. And it's you can see again, it's easier to read on the page. You're getting just the space instead of an actual line. The print is larger, bolder, easier to read, as you can see on the right, versus, even though it's not even considered a large print on the right, it is larger than the large print on the left. And that gives you a good idea of kind of some of the things that have been updated, and especially in the layout of the text in the KJV Thompson. Flipping over to a Psalm 6 page sample and comparison, let's look at the difference in the page size. Here's that Kirkbride large print edition on the left. That book block or page size or trim size is a full 10 inches, almost 10 1/4 inch tall, by about a 7 1/4 inch wide, versus the updated Zondervan, just a regular print edition, not large print, is only about 9, a little over 9.5 roughly tall, and then only about 6 1/4 or so wide. But look how much bigger, again, even though the page size and trim size is smaller on the updated edition, the print is clearly bigger and clearly bolder on the page and clearly easier to read. That is kind of the power of Bible design. That is the power of that comfort print font, and that good design can show through. You can get more with less. You can get a more readable Bible, a more legible font that's going to have less eye strain, even though it's produced in a smaller size Bible that's going to be a little easier to carry. It's not going to be as bulky, things like that. So that's just really impressive. And it's one thing to tell customers that, but to actually see it and show you this is a smaller page size, but the print is still bigger and everything is laid out better on the page, versus the older, larger page size with smaller, harder to read print. There you go. The proof is the pudding, and it's right there. You can see for yourself. So we've seen the difference in the text and the in-text and biblical text examples of the Old Thompson versus this revised and updated edition. But now the back of the Bible features, you're going to see they're still very similar and laid out in the same order, but they are renamed in positive ways and in ways that make a little more sense, and also just organized, and we'll see some of the differences here. So the Comprehensive Bible Helps, Complete System of Biblical Studies, you're still seeing that. Thompson Comprehensive Bible Helps, Complete System of Biblical Studies. But then let's look at some of the things that are renamed. Remember, the old general index is now the alphabetical index of topics. That's a much better name in our opinion. If you want to locate a specific topic and the topic number is not known, this is where you can find that topic number. And again, the topic numbers appear in red in this updated edition, easier to find. But other than that, and the renaming, which can help you, remember this more easily, that, hey, if I want to look up a topic, I should do the alphabetical index instead of general index. But notice that the numbering and the organization is mostly the same. Aaron is number 1. They're still number 1 right there. Basement is number 1 there. Basement here is 1170. And you're going to see that much of this is the same. It's just renamed and organized a little bit better in the updated edition. Condensed Cyclopedia of Topics and Texts, quite a mouthful, is now more simply the Numerical Index of Topics. It's much simpler. And again, this is the most important part and the secret sauce of the Thompson chain. So it's easier to remember. Numerical index, that's where I use the topic number. Used to be the pilot number, if you watch our old video. Used to be called pilot number in the old Thompson. Topic number, also a nice improvement, makes more sense. This is where when you find that topic number, you come now to the numerical index instead of the mouthful Condensed Cyclopedia of Topics and Texts to find that topic. And you're going to see 1 Aaron is still 1 Aaron, number 6 Abigail, still 6 Abigail, and then 15 Abraham over here on the old one. You'll see page flip, still number 15 Abraham. So you can see again, not that much has changed, still most of the same topics, still most of the same numbers. So if you have the older edition of the Thompson and need an updated edition or just need a new Bible and want a premium edition, you can be confident this is still the same Thompson chain. It's still going to be very familiar to you and have the same information that you know and love. And of course, it's made the Thompson such a great study Bible for over 100 years. If you were to go back to watch our first Thompson chain video back in 2014, shaky camera and all, you would see that number 1447 was one of the topics that we followed, and the 1447 in the old topic, Old Thompson, was salvation by, and specifically grace. Notice that the page header up here, 1447 Grace Divine, still Grace Divine 1447 on the updated Thompson, and 1447 over here Salvation by, that now appears as 1447 Grace Divine with M as saving grace. We're still going to see necessary for salvation, and that's basically just going to be organizing that a little bit differently. But also remember from the 2014 number, it was called the pilot number. 1447 was pilot number. Now 1447, that is known as the topic number. The M, as we said, that's M means marginal reference, and it's a margin entry, and that helps you find the first chain reference in those. But let's look at the actual verse list. Let's see what's changed, what else has changed in this 1447 topic number here in the numerical index instead of just the salvation by and the grace divine. We see that the verse list in the old topic, the Condensed Cyclopedia of Topics and Texts in the old Thompson chain, is almost exactly the same, but we'll compare and see what was updated in the updated Thompson chain edition. And we're seeing here under 1447, Acts 15:11, Romans 3:24, Romans 5:15, Romans 11:6, Titus 2:11, and Titus 3:7 appear in their entirety. The full verse, the full text of those verses appears on the old Thompson chain. In the updated Thompson, topic number 1447 is now Grace Divine with marginal reference Saving Grace, number 3 necessary for salvation. On the updated edition, instead of just getting straight into the listing and quoting of all those verses, you're getting the list of the general references first. At the bottom of the other page, it was Acts 15:11. Then here we're seeing the rest of the references in case you want to go look and study these on your own. Romans 3:24 and 4:16, 5:15, 11:6, Galatians 2:16, Ephesians 2:5 and 2:8, 2 Timothy 1:9, Titus 2:11 and 3:7, and Hebrews 13:9. And we know that the ones that appear in red/bold, those are part of the Thompson study system, but even the ones in black, it's listing them where the old one didn't. It's still telling you these verses are still important. This is still part of the chain if you want to look at every single verse dealing with grace divine, saving grace, how grace is necessary for salvation in topic 3. But then we get the familiar and same listing of those verses. Acts 15:11. Romans 3:24, Romans 5:15, Romans 11:6. That's verbatim the same as the old edition, but then you get two new additions here. Ephesians 2:5, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Christ, by grace ye are saved, in parentheses, and Ephesians 2:8, for by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. Then you get Titus 2:11 and Titus 3:7. So those are two nice new additions that I really like here when we're talking about the topic of salvation by grace. Those are certainly powerful verses that might have been missing in the original Thompson and the original organization of topic number 1447, salvation by grace. So that was nice to see. Then finally we get this addition at the bottom that if you also want to see, okay, well, what about good works or justification by faith or by grace? And it kind of gives you those topic numbers to also go with. So that's just showing you once again that that is yet another nice little improvement here. It still contains the same information, only it's been expanded upon, it's been improved upon, and nice to see the addition there of Ephesians 2:5 and Ephesians 2:8, but still shows you it's still the same familiar Thompson. It's not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It really is truly just updated, not completely revised or changed. So you can feel confident if you like the old Thompson, you certainly will like this new one. A couple more quick examples from the numerical index. Remember, 557 used to be pilot number. It's now topic number. That was business life 557. Still 557 business life here in the updated Thompson. And we see that you're going to get 557 through 597. Those are all going to be topics pertaining to business and business life. Number 700, Christ the Word, still 700, Christ the Word. 701, Christ's divinity and humanity, still 701, Christ's divinity and humanity. And notice on this closer shot that the old Thompson, topic 700, Christ the Word, there is that old NM or not in margin designation before they start listing out those references of John 1:1, John 1:14, 1 John 1:1, etc. Notice that the updated Thompson now specifically says 700 Christ and Christ the Word and as the marginal reference. 15 is his names. They added a marginal reference and they completed the chain, completed the topic with J, the Word. Notice that it's still got the same listing, the John 1:1, 1:14, 1 John 1:1, 1 John 5:7, and Revelation 19:13. But then this note on the old edition for other names and titles, see titles 3632. Well, they've cleverly renamed it 3632 topic as Christ's name. So that's an example once again of how this was improved. They completed there's no longer a not in margin reference that if you want to go look for the word that you're not going to find it. No, you're definitely going to find it in the updated Thompson chain, the topic of J, the Word. And also again, you're going to more clearly be able to study Christ's names under that topic 3632. Also from our old video, 1902 John and 1903 John the Baptist is still 1902 John and 1903 John the Baptist. 3266 God's people are his sheep is now 3266 Christ shepherd and number 3 God's sheep. And closer in, 3266, God's people are his sheep with the verse list there. And then 3267, parentheses 4, sinners regarded as lost sheep. is now 3266 Christ shepherd and God's sheep, and 3267 Christ shepherd and sinners regarded as lost sheep. So it's still the same information. It's just renamed and reorganized in a way that's easier to remember, that with the same topic that's now going to be easier to find of Christ shepherd, so that's succinct. Christ shepherd, about general references. Christ shepherd, God's sheep. Christ shepherd, sinners regarded as lost sheep. Nice improvement, and you can see that is exactly what was updated here in this updated and revised Thompson chain. Topic 4147, delusions common, thinking that sin will give fullness of life. There is that familiar not in margin reference in the old Thompson, is now 4147, delusions common, but there's no more NM reference of it being not in margin because that chain was completed, and this topic, common delusions, was now included in the marginal reference and in the Thompson study system. And we know that we can find that and find the first reference in Genesis 3:5. And seeing there, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So talking about, again, that sin giving fullness of life. It's going to take us there to, of course, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But just yet I felt like a final good example to show it's still the same number, still the same topic, but now it was completed. Now the work has been done. Now you can find that topic. So a common delusion amongst many King James Bible believers is that anytime something is updated, it could be bad, or that change is typically associated with being bad. But you can now have faith and kind of be comforted in knowing that this Thompson chain was actually updated and revised in a positive way, that it is actually improved on the old edition in many ways. This common delusions topic being completed is just one more example of that. Character studies is still Bible character studies. The very first example, 4289, Noah the Ark Builder, is now 4286, Noah the Ark Builder. Look at this difference in the example of the illustration of the ark versus the one on the updated edition. Look how beautiful that is. Abraham the spiritual pilgrim is still Abraham the spiritual pilgrim. And look at the difference in the maps. Look how that map was updated in this updated edition, and just how clear and readable that is. The point is that you can be confident that the same information still appears here in these biblical character studies. You're still getting Noah, Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, Joshua, etc., ending with Daniel, the statesman prophet. Even the Bible harmonies and illustrated studies remain virtually unchanged. It's the exact same list of 30 illustrations, only look at how it is being presented now. Look at this older chart here of the prophecies concerning Jesus and their fulfillment, and how that information is arranged and presented on the updated edition. Look at just how much clearer and more modernized it is. Then you get to the KJV Concordance. The old edition was 96 pages. This revised edition is about 60 pages, but it still appears to cover the most important themes you would want in a concordance. And also of note, about the only thing missing in this updated Thompson chain is going to be that old archaeological supplement. But as mentioned by Randy Brown of the Bible Buying Guide, who was a consultant to this revised Thompson chain, it was removed partly because it was only 80 pages of info. It was largely outdated, had some incorrect information in it, and it was reportedly the least used feature in the Thompson chain. So not a huge loss there. Still the concordance and all of the other same great back of the Bible features present in this updated Thompson chain. The updated Thompson also gives you these nice line pages for notes that are not present in the old Thompson. And the last comparison we'll do is here in the maps. Both editions still end with the maps. Archaeological sites in Palestine is still map 1. Archaeological sites in ancient Israel is map 1 here. Definitely quality maps in the old edition, but look how they're improved in the sense that the spacing is better on the words, and then those places that are the archaeological sites are indicated in a red dot. Again, that two-color design, a little easier to read, a little more useful to find the various places you'd be looking for on that map.